Yo, welcome back to the channel, man. What's going on with y'all? Another great day for another reaction. You know what I mean? But for now, we're not here to talk about that. For now, we're here to talk about. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Boom. Why do Asians eat dogs? Why don't you? Hmm? Why aren't you eating your best friend? Stupid question if you ask me. I'm not gonna eat a dog. That in my eyes, that's like cannibalism. You feel me? But let's figure out why do they eat dogs, bro? That's a thing I would like to know. I would like to know that. So let's get straight into the video, man.
What's the deal with Asians eating dogs? What's the deal with Asians eating dogs? Is that something that happens? I mean, a lot? A little? Only in the past? Is it a delicacy or something when people didn't have enough protein? Or maybe it's all just a racist stereotype.
People think they're so clever, like they're the first
hope
person
it's
to
just a
ever
stereotype.
ask me this question. Do you eat dog?
This is the kind of thing I think about when I can't sleep at 3 a.m., so here we are. I'm Ken LaCourte. I research questions like this,
What up, Ken?
not to
Talk
mock
to us.
people or feel superior, but to really dig into the truth and give you the answers as straightforward as I can.
Okay.
How does our world work? I'll first explain what I learned about where the world stands today on eating dogs. Then,
Easy. You shouldn't. It's weird. Why would you eat something so adorable? Look at this. Look at this face. Hold on. Aww. Look at this face. How could you possibly eat that? I hope I edited a video picture of a dog right here. How could you possibly eat this, bro? It's disgusting. You're disturbed. You're disturbed if you eat a dog, bro.
why Asia? I mean, it's a big world with a lot of hungry people, but why did this become something associated with Asians? And finally, we'll look at pet or protein, why societies are cool with chowing down on some animals, but not others. So to most Americans, eating dogs is a pretty squeamish thing to think about. But maybe a better question is,
squeamish.
why don't we eat
Squeamish is a stretch, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. Squeamish is a stretch. I just think it's disgusting.
dogs? The cuteness factor? We eat lambs and cows, which are pretty darn cute. Because they're smart?
Okay. Look. He's got a point with this. Let me move. He's got a point with this. They're adorable. I'm not gonna lie, but you throw a little bit of soy sauce on this motherfucker. God damn, what's that one? That one steak sauce, bro. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the steak sauce right now. But you throw some of this on this. You know. Oh my God, these two be busting in a meal, boy. Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
people think pigs are smarter than dogs, but bacon is almost a national meat. We don't eat dogs not because it's wrong in some objective sense, but because somewhere along the way, our culture drew a big, bright moral line. Other cultures drew that line somewhere differently, and we'll
Okay.
start in Asia, where the stereotype really lives. So, yes, dog and cat meat is still eaten in parts of Asia, but it's not super common. South Korea has long been associated with dog meat stew, and in a recent poll, about 8% of people there said they'd eaten dog in the past year. That's down from 27% in 2015. Younger generations don't eat dog meat nearly as often, and they view it much less favorably than older South Koreans do. Vietnam is thought to have the world's second highest consumption of dog meat, and they eat about 5 million dogs a year. But public opinion there too is moving away from it, and most Vietnamese support a ban on the dog and cat meat trade. China remains the world's largest consumer of dog meat, with an estimated 10 to 20 million dogs killed for food each year. It's mainly concentrated in their rural areas. China also hosts the Yulin Dog Meat Festival around the summer solstice each year. It's not an ancient traditional festival, but started in 2000.
Bro. How could you eat this? How could you possibly think of eating this?
around
Hold
the
on,
summer
hold on, hold on.
solstice each year.
Not this
It's
clip.
not
though.
an ancient tradition.
Look at this thing. How could you possibly think about eating this, bro? How do you look at this and be like, I'm gonna eat that? I don't get it. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it.
Festival.
I
It
don't get it.
started in 2009 by dog meat traders to boost sales. But both attendance and dog meat sales throughout the country have gone down in the last few years, and activists are also getting involved. And just like other Asian countries, there's a generational divide, with younger Chinese overwhelmingly opposing eating dogs. And the shift isn't just cultural, it's starting to be legal as well. In 2020, Shenzhen became the first city in mainland China to ban the sale and consumption of dog and cat meat. Other cities followed. In South Korea, a 2024 law banned dog meat entirely, with a 3-year grace period to phase out the industry.
Good.
So look, as always, I try to do my best to do everything right here, but if I make a substantive mistake, I'll correct it down below. And if you find this video interesting, there may be a button somewhere you can press to see more of these. Now, let's look at some of the wet markets, the open air, often chaotic food markets that we became familiar with during COVID.
Okay.
So, wet market doesn't mean an exotic animal death pit. It just refers to markets selling fresh produce, meat, and fish, and sometimes...
I ain't gonna lie, chat. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I thought this right here was a shorty in the back, bro. I thought I was looking at something crazy for a second, bro. I had to catch myself.
live animals. While most sell stuff like bok choy and chicken feet, a handful of trafficked in wildlife, and in some cases, dogs and cats. That imagery of dogs in wire cages, bats in soup, and frogs hopping over fish tanks, that hit the Western internet a little bit like a horror show during the early pandemic. And for many people, it reinforced pre-existing stereotypes. But let's zoom out beyond Asia. Unlike some Asian countries, it's actually legal to eat dogs in Switzerland. Activists said in 2014 that about 3% of Swiss people had eaten dog or cat meat, although they do have a bit of an agenda on that. And it's still a practice in some small rural areas where Christmas cat stew is part of some traditional menus. In parts of Nigeria,
Christmas
dog
cat
meat is sold openly in markets
Okay.
and considered an aphrodisiac or medicinal food, but we don't often hear about that. Cameroon, Ghana, and other African countries do the same. And historically, some indigenous peoples in Mexico ate dog meat, particularly this guy, a Mexican hairless dog. So why Asia? If people are eating dogs and cats in other places, why did the whole Asians eat dogs stereotype stick? Part of it is historical. In ancient China, we know they ate dog meat for thousands of years. Dogs were raised not just for companionship or guarding, but also as livestock. In Korea, dog meat soup was believed to boost stamina and masculinity, especially during hot summer months. And in Vietnam, some still believe eating dog meat at the end of the Lunar New Year brings good luck and wards off bad spirits. So there's history there. But ancient cultures weren't the only ones. They say Romans did it, Polynesians did too, and Aztecs bred dogs for food as well. So again, why Asia? Well, it seems like timing mattered. American exposure to Asian food came largely through war, not exactly a time for cultural nuance and understanding. During World War II, the Korean War, and especially the Vietnam War, American soldiers stationed overseas saw unfamiliar foods and they brought back stories. Some were real, others exaggerated. But when you're dehumanizing an enemy, anything goes, including mocking what they eat. Visibility also played a role. Unlike the wrapped ground beef in Western supermarkets, some traditional Asian markets displayed live animals for sale. Dogs in cages, cats in baskets, frogs in tanks, and that's jarring to outside eyes. Once a stereotype like that becomes popular, it can be short.
Did that just say $7 per pound of frog, bro?
And that's jarring to outside eyes.
Oh, what country is this? Is this Korea? Is this Korea or China? I don't know. I don't know the friggin' East. Okay. I was not the best at geography. Leave me alone. Is this China or Korea, bro? $7 per pound of frog, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy, dog. Hey, man. And they're alive too. So that means you gotta hold that motherfucker while he's squirming, fighting for his life.
Once a stereotype like that becomes popular, it can be shorthand for weird or uncivilized. The image has legs, literally. So overall,
Okay,
the
this nigga
stereotype
think he
came
got
from
jokes.
truth, war, media, and a persistent human instinct to draw lines between us and them, and often to look down on people who do things differently. In truth, most of us don't think too hard about why we eat the animals we do. Most Americans grew up eating chicken, pork, beef, maybe some fish sticks, and that's just what's for dinner. But the second someone mentions dog food, we cringe. But disgust isn't a fact, it's a feeling. Like most feelings, it's a product of who raised you, where you live, and what your culture takes as normal. So certainly one important factor is that the closer an
That's
animal
fair.
is to our daily lives, the harder it is to see as food. We've domesticated our dogs, cats, and other animals. We take care of them. We give them names. And to many people, They're not just animals, they're family. Cows and chickens don't live in our houses, but there's still a wide variability of how we view animals regardless of where they live. I mentioned earlier that pigs are smart. They can play video games, recognize their names, form emotional bonds, just like dogs. But in the US, the only food more American than hamburgers is bacon. And we eat about 75 million pigs every year. And bunnies, they're so adorable that they're basically the universal mascot for cuteness. But they're on the menus in some US restaurants, and they're even more popular in parts of France, Italy, and China. Horses aren't eaten in the US, but in parts of France, Belgium, Italy, and Japan, horse meat is available raw, seared.
Bro, look. At some point I want to travel the world and see friggin' places like France and Italy and shit. But if I ever find out that one of these motherfuckers put a horse meat on my goddamn plate, I'm gonna crash out, bro. I swear to God, I'm gonna crash out, bro. I'm gonna flip that entire restaurant on its head, bro. I get it. That's your culture. That's cool. But for God's sake, don't put that shit on my plate, bro. And I'm the type of nigga who like to walk in a place, right, that I never visit and be like, surprise me with your best selling dish. If you know your best selling dish is some horse meat, bro, don't give it to me. Don't give it to me. It's okay. I'll be all right. I will actually prefer that you stereotype me and give me some motherfucking chicken before you put horse meat on my goddamn plate, bro. I swear. Just don't feed me horse meat, bro. Don't feed me cat. Don't feed me dog. I don't care for cats, but do not feed me cat, bro. Do not feed me dog. What else? What else will I not eat? Don't bat. I'm gonna find that image and put it back up of that bat soup. That is disgusting, and people eat that. And then y'all wondering where these new diseases be showing up from, bro. That's disgusting. I can't do it, bro. I can't do it.
Or even sausages. An American might be bothered by that, but most of us grab a burger, wear leather shoes, or sit on a leather sofa without a second thought.
Facts.
And in India, cows are holy. Harming one isn't just offensive, it's criminal in many states. In fact, 40% of Indians are vegetarians. To them, all of these foods are off limits. So it's not about logic, it's about who we are and who we're not. And food is one of the oldest tribal markers we have. Harming one isn't just offensive, it's criminal in many states. In fact, 40% of Indians are vegetarians. To them,
no wonder they're fucking starving.
all of these foods are off limits. So it's not about logic, it's about who we are and who we're not. And food is one of the oldest tribal markers we have. Paul Rosen, a psychologist who spent decades studying disgust, says that disgust protects the soul, not the body. It's not just about staying healthy, it's about staying morally or even spiritually pure. Across much of the Middle East and Jewish communities around the world, pork is strictly forbidden. Islam and Judaism both consider pigs unclean, and that shaped entire cuisines for thousands of years. In Hinduism, it's beef that's off limits. Buddhists often promote vegetarianism, especially among monks, but in practice, especially in places like China or Thailand, most still eat meat because the faith says it's more important not to kill them than not to eat. So if someone else does the slaughtering, the moral burden is lifted. My point is to show how deeply food choices are tied to identity, morality, and culture. What we eat shows our loyalty, belonging, and in some cases, righteousness. And when somebody eats something outside of our food code, especially something we see as cuddly, sacred, or symbolic.
Bro, you can't eat this and not feel bad, bro. Look at this stubby little legs, bro. He has no legs. He can't even run to defend himself even if you were chasing him. And you want to freaking capture them and eat them, you sick fuck? Bro, I can't. That's disgusting. It's disturbing. Do better. Eastern countries, I'm just playing. I don't know what y'all got going on over there.
Of a home, it doesn't just gross us out, it makes them feel foreign. So it seems these food preferences aren't just about food, but about how we see ourselves and others, and how we saw them in the past. Look, another thing that affects how we see ourselves is what we call ourselves. And if you've been around long at all, you've noticed that many groups and ethnicities rename themselves quite frequently. And then the old names are often considered insults. Colored person and Negro used to be terms of respect for black Americans, but not anymore.
He's not wrong. He is so not wrong. He's so not wrong. He's so not wrong. If y'all know anything about black, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to get into that in this video, but he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
And is it black or African American? This is one of my very favorite videos because I learned a lot about not just the psychology of name changes, but the actual mechanism of how those changes occur and when they fail. I learned a whole lot in producing it, and I think you will too.
I'm so glad he put this video up. I'm going to react to that. But as for now, that's going to be it for the video, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. Yes, I'm going to keep this intro short because I got plenty more to record. Peace.